What's up everybody, Stankie here, and this is how you play Stormcleave in M+ 10.2. However, I want to make one thing very clear. Stormcleave is viable, but it is not the best build for enhancement in 10.2. The Elementalist build, if played properly, will perform better in M+, but this only really matters in higher keys. Stormcleave is great for newer players, players who want an easier rotation or just want to blast without thinking, as well as those who worship Stormstrike. Now, I personally wouldn't play this in keys above 20, not because that the damage isn't there, more that the damage profile Storm has is less valuable in M+. Their style of AoE is very even, you just blast everything. Unlike Elementalist, where you can really funnel damage, meaning you can bring a metric ton of pain to one target while still AoEing everything else, which is great in high keys. TLDR, Stormcleave is very viable, just not for pushing high keys. But if that's not your jam, then Stormstrike away. Going over the build before we break down the rotation. Keep in mind that this assumes you're using the new Tierset tier 31. Now, if you're new to enhancement or a newer player, I recommend watching this. If you just want the build, then it's linked in the description and you can hop over to the rotation. So starting off, we get all the Wind Fury talents as well as Doom Winds. So a lot of our damage comes from Wind Fury procs. We then get Lava Lash and Molten Assault so that we can spread Flame Shock, enabling us to utilize the new Tierset on AoE. We then get improved Raging and Overflowing Maelstrom for increased spender damage and allows us to have 10 Maelstrom instead of 5. Your Maelstrom generation with Stormcleave is slightly unethical, so you really want to be able to have 10 Maelstrom. Then we get Crash Lightning and Crashing Storm. Crash Lightning is an uncapped AoE and is able to trigger Wind Fury, which not only does a lot of damage, but also generates a ton of Maelstrom and buffs you, so anytime you Stormstrike or Lava Lash, they deal nature damage to all target, which in turn generates a ton of Maelstrom. Crashing Storm increases this damage, but more importantly increases amount of targets Chain Lightning hits. We then snag Storm's Wrath for some extra Wind Fury and Stormbringer procs, which are Stormstrike resets, the new Tempest Strikes and Storm Flurry for some extra Stormstrike love. Tempest Strike makes Stormstrike and Lava Lash deal extra nature damage, and Storm Flurry gives your Stormstrike a chance to storm again, proccing, for example, Tempest Strike an additional time. We then take all the Ascendance talents, deeply rooted elements, so that Stormstrike has an ever-increasing chance to proc Ascendance, and anytime you Stormstrike, this chance is increased by 1%. And yet somehow I'm up to 35 Stormstrike and nothing's happened. Then we get Static Accumulation, which generates 2 Maelstrom every second during Ascendance, but also passively always gives your Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning a chance to refund all Maelstrom spent, so you can back-to-back spam Chain Lightning on packs when this procs. Thorim's Invocation passively increases Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning damage by 20%, but the big part is that during Ascendance, your Stormstrike becomes Wind Strikes, and they will automatically spend Maelstrom for you on either Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning, depending on which you use last. It only consumes up to 5 Maelstrom, but essentially during Ascendance you just spam Wind Strike and you'll machine gun out Chain Lightnings, giving you a warm, fuzzy feeling on the inside. Now, to further increase our slappiness, we pick 1 point in Legacy of the Frost Witch, so anytime you spend 10 Maelstrom, you Stormstrike resets. We of course get Feral Spirit with Witch Doctor's Ancestry, which increases Maelstrom generation, but more importantly reduces Feral Spirit cooldown anytime you generate Maelstrom, which works even if you're capped on Maelstrom, and it works with the refunds from a Static Accumulation. So yeah, Wolf Squad on AoE, and we cap this out with Alpha Wolf. Crash and Chain Lightning makes your Wolfie's AoE rejoice. We also pick up Sundering, both so that we can AoE interrupt, but also because it does a whole lot of bursty AoE damage, especially when combined with Doom Wind, which makes it proc Wind Fury on pretty much all targets hit, or like 96% chance. Lastly, we get Primordial Wave, deals a chunk of damage and applies Flame Shock, and your next Lightning Bolt hits all targets with Flame Shock, with greatly increased damage, turning your single target spender into an actual AoE nuke, and it enables our new Tierset bonus. Feral Spirit reduces the cooldown of Primordial Wave by 7 seconds per wolf, which translates to a whole lot of mini nukes to slam on AoE. Now with that out of the way, let's break down the AoE rotation, starting with its priority list, and then how to put it all together. Storm! Stormstrike is what I'd like to say. However, cast Primordial Wave on cooldown, summon Wolfies on cooldown, Lava Lash to spread Flame Shock if you don't have 6 Flame Shocks active, Flame Shock a target without it if you don't have 6 active, Lightning Bolt with Primordial Wave buff active and preferably 6 active Flame Shock targets, Wind Strike spam, which is when Ascendance procs, Chain Lightning if you're at 10 Maelstrom, Doom Winds, Crash Lightning if its buff is inactive or if Doom Winds is active. Then you want a Sundering, use it when Doom Winds is active if possible. Stormstrike, Lava Lash, Crash Lightning, Chain Lightning at 5 Maelstrom instead of waiting for 10 if you can't do any of the above. And when there's nothing else, Flame and Frost Shock. Now, as intimidating as it might sound, I promise you Stormcleave plays very easily, even with the new Forced bonus. So let's go over how to actually play the rotation, breaking it down into cooldowns, spenders, generators, and to some extent fillers. Starting off with cooldowns and when to use them. Doom Winds should pretty much be used whenever it's available unless you're saving it for a certain pull or a boss in a dungeon. This increases your chance to get a Wind Fury proc up to almost 100%. So during this, you want to pump out as many Crash Lightnings as possible and Sundering if it's available. Primordial Wave and Feral Spirit should be used as soon as it's available, unless a pack in a dungeon is about to die. Then we move on to spenders. Whenever your cooldowns are sorted, your next priority is to spend Maelstrom. If there's 2 or more targets and you're at 10 Maelstrom, always Chain Lightning. If Primordial Wave is active, Lightning Bolt with 10 stacks of Maelstrom. To set up for Primordial Wave, you want to Flame Shock 1 target, Primordial Wave another one, then Lava Lash to spread it before you press Lightning Bolt, turning it into that fancy nuke. And if you're out of Maelstrom, then you swap to generators, which for Stormcleave is mainly Crash Lightning and Stormstrike. Crash Lightning if the buff is inactive, otherwise spam Stormstrike until you can't. Then you Crash Lightning. Capped on Maelstrom, throw a Chain Lightning, Stormstrike again. And if Ascendance procs, replace Storm with Wind and strike away. This is where you'll bounce between most of the time, popping cooldowns, spending Maelstrom on Chain Lightning, generating with Stormstrike and Crash Lightning. Rinse, repeat. However, if all of that is on cooldown, you turn to fillers, which are Lava Lash, Flame and Frost Shock, as well as Earth Shield. So if you don't have Maelstrom, can't generate, then press Lava Lash. Lava Lash on cooldown, Flame, Frost Shock, or refresh Earth Shield. I recommend getting used to weaving an Earth Shield in keys. Great way to go from super squishy to ever so slightly less squishy, and then it repeats, but it really is just, oh, I have 10 Maelstrom, I press Chain Lightning. I don't have 10 Maelstrom, I press Crash and Stormstrike. The end. Man, I could have made this guide a lot shorter. And that's pretty much it for AoE. So let's take a quick look at single target, which I will keep very short. Make sure to Primordial Wave, Feral Spirit, and Doom Winds on cooldown. If you can press Stormstrike, you press Stormstrike. If you have 10 Maelstrom, you still press Stormstrike. If anything, you press Stormstrike. Now if Stormstrike is on cooldown, then you spend Maelstrom on Lightning Bolt. This is just to reset Stormstrike so you can slap it again. That's it, that's the rotation. If you can Stormstrike, you press it. And if you can't do any of that, press Lava Lash, Flame, Frost Shock, but all you aim to do is Stormstrike as much as shamanistically possible. Stormstrike deals a fair bit of damage with this build, procs Wind Fury, Tempest Strike, which does a ton of damage, and procs Ascendance, where most of our damage is hidden. Single target can be very RNG, because the more Ascendance procs you get, the more damn you're gonna do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Build, rotation, and how to play it.
Now, if you're looking for stat rates, best I can do is simmer yourself.
General rule of thumb, haste mastery good, but it's also good to sim yourself. Do it! Do it now! Let me know what y'all think of these guides. Any info you feel is missing, let me know. Don't forget the usual stuff. Comment, like, subscribe, and slap that notification bell. If you want to help support my work, check out my Patreon or YouTube membership, where you can get access to the Stankie Discord. You can also get shoutouts and videos, help with enhancement stuff, you name it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.